We are 2/3 of the way through the NFL regular season. 12 weeks down, 6 more to go as the Dallas Cowboys are 8-3 and in second place in the NFC East, trying to close the gap to the Philadelphia Eagles and challenge for the #1 seed in the NFC playoffs. Welcome into Special Edition with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. And gentlemen, the NFL season used to be 16 games long, so you could divide it into quadrants. That's not the case anymore. It's divided into thirds. So how has your opinion of this Cowboys team changed from the first third now as we get ready for the last third?
I think we're going to have to go to the offensive side of the ball. And the reason why I say that is because in the very beginning, obviously, Dak Prescott started the season, we had 3 points. Then he got injured, and we had Cooper Rush in the league, and we were at the bottom of the league in terms of points scored per game. Now, all of a sudden, you fast forward, and over the last 3 games, Dallas is sitting in third place in the league in terms of points scored per game with 32, only behind Cincinnati and Miami, which we know are lighting up the league. These guys are more than capable, and I'm looking forward to seeing these guys continue to do more on offense.
Yeah, I think overall this team has gotten better and better as the weeks progress. I think Mike McCarthy has done a great job of preparing this team. They get out there, they start fast, and they don't seem to let up no matter who the opponent is. Defensively, they're still the strength of this team. Offensively, it doesn't hurt to get your quarterback one back in the fold, and he's done an amazing job so far. So kudos to this coaching staff and the players. They're continuing to get better and better as the weeks go on.
They found the blueprint with Cooper Rush, and now they've just enhanced it with Dak. I like how they run the ball. I like how the defense is still a strength bearer. You know what? If they keep doing this right here, they should be successful in this last third.
Got to find a way to control the time of possession, continue to run the football effectively, and then play really good defense, right? Those are ways to do it. But we talk about the final third of the regular season. It looks a little bit different than maybe some of even the first couple games of the year. It's actually everybody here is all together 500 at the moment. It ranks right in the middle of the NFL in terms of strength of schedule through the final 6 games of this regular season. You've got Indianapolis this week in prime time, and then you only have one more primetime game for the moment, and that's a Thursday night football battle against Tennessee on December 29th. So when you look at this schedule, gentlemen, where does it challenge this Cowboys team? Because there are certainly places that they could slip up, but you look favored outside of maybe that Eagles game.
Yeah, you look favored overall, but, where has Dallas struggled this year? They struggled in terms of run defense, and all these teams that they're going to face, they are run-first teams. And these guys all have really good running backs. We've already faced some of the league's best, but collectively, this is going to be the biggest challenge going forward.
Yeah, I think there's 2 games left on that slate that will challenge this defense especially, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles when they come on Christmas Eve, and also the Tennessee Titans. Both of those teams run the ball extremely well, and we understand throughout this season that the Cowboys defense, they kind of struggled against the run defense, even though these past 2 weeks they've been playing better overall. But those 2 games right there, I think, are going to be a real test for this defense and a real test overall for this Cowboys football team.
I know it's going to sound weird, but I think the biggest deal for them is going to be themselves. Make sure you don't get caught up and start looking at stats and numbers. Play within yourself. You're your biggest defender.
Yeah, looking down the road is what we are supposed to do on the media side of things, which is why we take a look at the standings and see, could Dallas catch up to Philadelphia in the NFC East? That's for our side of things. That's our job to do that, is to look at, should the Cowboys win a majority of the final 6 games, could they catch Philadelphia? Do you think they could, Nate?
No, they can't. I don't think so, because I think Philadelphia know who they are, and the Cowboys are still trying to solidify who they are.
Yeah, without a doubt, I don't think that they can catch Philadelphia. I think the remaining schedule for Philadelphia is entirely too easy. I think if they can get past the Tennessee Titans this weekend, you're looking at the Saints, the Bears, and the Giants twice. I just don't think they lose any of those games, so I got Philly coming on top of the NFC East.
I'm going to say control what you can control, take care of the rest of your games, and let's see what happens.
Hey, things could happen. This Colts team that comes in at 4-7-1 almost knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles. They only lost by 1 a couple weeks ago. So anything can happen in the NFL. I don't think they're out of it just yet, gentlemen. I don't think you can wrap that one up until the very, very end. When we come back, we'll hear the thoughts from Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer, as he sits down one-on-one when we return with more Special Edition.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Reliant, an NRG company. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Salvation Army. Love Beyond.
Still plenty of time to sign up for the holiday camps of one-day football and dance academy camps at AT&T Stadium on December 20th and 21st as you want to try and get involved on the gridiron or, of course, with the dancers that are in your life. Your loved ones can get involved with the Dallas Cowboys very, very soon. Welcome back in to Special Edition, previewing the Cowboys matchup with the Colts this week. But before we do that, our very own Nick Eatman had a chance to catch up with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Hey everyone, I'm Nick Eatman along with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer, and it's that time of year. We like to bring up old coaches every now and again, and Bill Parcells had a lot of great phrases, and one of them that we always seem to live by is, "You are what you are, and let me know how things are at Thanksgiving." Well, here we are past Thanksgiving. Your team's 8-3. What's your assessment of this football team?
Well, obviously, I think my assessment would be this is a football team that's had a really good year. But the big thing is I think it's on the upswing. I think, obviously not having Dak for most of the first half of the season, Cooper Rush did an outstanding job, and the team did rallying around him. And we were able to win games that a lot of people thought we might not could have pulled off without a Dak. But, Dak's come back, and he just seems to get more and more comfortable with each week. That offense seems to be getting in a rhythm. I think we're getting our identity in terms of what we are as an offensive football team. Michael Gallup, is getting better each week coming off that ACL, which is what most great players do when they come back from a major knee injury. It seems to just keep getting better. Obviously, CD's getting comfortable in his role as our number one receiver. Things are coming together. The offensive line, I think, is playing outstanding. I think Dak's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league, if not the least. It just seems like this offensive football team is really on the upswing. And certainly the defense, other than an aberration here or there, I just think we're getting better too. Do we have things we have to work on? Absolutely. We need to get these penalties under control and out of our game. We were able to overcome them against the Giants. When you get in playoff football, it's a lot harder to overcome. Certainly we got to protect the ball better, and certainly we got to take it away more. So those are all things that I know are at the forefront of the minds of Coach McCarthy, of Dan Quinn and Bones in terms of what we need to do to really take this team to the next level, which is where we all want to be, championship caliber.
It seems like last year about this time, it was the same type of record after Thanksgiving. Do you like where you are now? Can you compare where you are this year as opposed to last year?
It's always tough like that in terms of where you are with injuries, that type of thing. As I said, it just feels like this team's more on the upswing. Obviously, we started off hot last year offensively. I think we were number one in offense most of the year. Teams, just like they do anything, they can start to, figure out a little bit, what your tendencies are. Feels like this year more we're just kind of getting into, as I said earlier, what our identity is, where we're going. Just feel like the air is really more up maybe than it was last year offensively. Defensively, I think we were, I'd say it's, 1 year more with Dan Quinn's a plus. And what he's doing and what the players know he wants out of them, I think we're seeing that, and therefore I think we're playing at a higher level, and I expect us to sustain that.
This NFC East. Have you ever seen anything like this where and obviously when they say the season ends today, it doesn't, so these teams still have to play each other. But as it stands right now, all the NFC East teams would be in the playoffs. Have you seen it this much competition, especially just a couple of years ago? It was almost the other way around.
Well, we all remember the monikers and take offense to them, the NFC least. But, I've just always felt like in the 30-plus years we've had the football team, that the top organizations do subside in the East. I mean, you look at the Giants, you look at the Commanders, you look at the Eagles. I mean, these teams are in big markets. They're run by stable ownership. They're run, great organizations that historically have had success. And it's tough sledding over there. And certainly it doesn't surprise me that this is where it's come down to. You knew ultimately everybody would do what they needed to do to be competitive on the football field. And, it's going to be a fun finish in terms of how this East ends up. But, as I said the other day, anytime you play an NFC East team, can actually throw out the records because you know it's going to be a battle, and certainly going to be some a physical football game when you play in the East.
Thank you, Stephen. Kyle, back to you.
You can catch the entire interview with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones, brought to you by Texas Lotto on DallasCowboys.com. When we come back, another tough test awaits this Cowboys run defense. Jonathan Taylor and the Colts are running, and they're coming. When we come back on Special Edition, how can the Cowboys limit JT in the backfield?
This segment was brought to you by Salvation Army. Love Beyond. This segment is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
And I think people play the Cowboys differently. Same way you play the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're not going to come in and play the Cowboys. They understand it's a primetime game, understand who we are, and not many teams like us. So we got to play every team to a maximum extent and not overlook no one, because that's how upsets happen, and we just got to go out and be us.
If you had any questions on whether or not the Lion was still hungry after Thanksgiving, there's your answer. Micah Parsons always looks 1 week at a time, and it's a big reason why he has 12 sacks this season. Welcome back into Special Edition, back with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, and Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Now, gentlemen, we got to take a look at this matchup with the Indianapolis Colts. 4-7-1. It has not been the season for the Colts that they envisioned going into it, with Matt Ryan at quarterback. His first season with the organization, and already they've had their head coach fired, new head coach hired in Jeff Saturday, who's the interim, and things just don't necessarily look right. But why could Matt Ryan still be dangerous, Isaiah?
Well, Matt Ryan can only be dangerous if you allow for them to have a running game. So that's the only way in which Matt Ryan can be dangerous. Listen up. Carson Wentz was gone. They replaced him with Matt Ryan. They thought this was going to be the savior of all. This is actually a good Colts team. They have not been playing well. But the thing is, Matt Ryan gives the ball up. He's older. He's an older man. He's played a lot of years in this league. He's had a lot of success. But right now, he is behind a really good offensive line that is not protecting him. And whenever guys get close, he throws it up. He has 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. He's going to give you an opportunity to make some plays.
Yeah, without a doubt. This is going to be a long afternoon for Matt Ryan. All right, this guy is a statue in the pocket, and he has little ability to extend the plays out there. And when you talk about the offensive line, they've been up and down all year, mostly down, dealing with injuries and subpar play. And that is not a good combination when you're going against the league's best pass rush.
43 sacks. He's been hit a lot. He's been hurt. Like you say, he's not a real mobile guy. He's got 10 interceptions. It's been bad for Matty Ice.
Okay, but you mentioned the run game, though, Isaiah, and Jonathan Taylor brings that run game. I mean, he's still one of the top 3 arguable running backs in the entire league at the moment, but he hasn't had the season that he anticipated either. Barry, what type of challenge does a running back like Jonathan Taylor bring to the table?
Look, Jonathan Taylor is a beast, and in my opinion, he's the really only offensive threat that the Colts have out there that Dallas Cowboys need to make sure they keep their eyes on at all times. But in order to slow a guy down like this, you're going to have to play as a unit. And the Dallas Cowboys defense, they've been playing as a unit these past 2 weeks. They have to swarm the ball carrier and have great gap discipline out there. And last but certainly not least, they have to have that gang tackling mentality when going after a guy. There can be no one-on-ones out there. It should look like they're having a defensive team meeting every time Jonathan Taylor touches the rock.
Yeah, you got to constrict his abilities to be able to select holes. This is a downhill back. This dude's physical, so before he can hit you in the mouth, you need to make sure that you punch him first.
Yeah. Oh, keep going, Nate.
So score first. Score first, and that puts him in a pass situation. That eliminates this young man.
And then the defensive side of the football as well. I mean, that is a defensive front where the strength is on the defensive line. They do have Stephon Gilmore in the secondary as well. Don't forget about him at all. This is a good defense that has played well throughout the season, unlike the offense that has pieces but hasn't played well. Nate, when you look at the defensive side of the football, what type of challenge do they bring?
They play good downhill football. Their linebackers are pretty good. DeForest Buckner is their main guy. And like you say, Gilmore on the back end. They got a good defense. The offense just haven't played complementary to them.
Yeah, to me, this is the only way that the Colts have been able to stick in games with their defense. I mean, there's not a lot of household names out there, but they play together as a unit and they fly around to the football. But I think this will be a great test for the Cowboys' offensive line because they have some guys on that side of the football that can get after the quarterback, including a former teammate of mine, Yannick Ngakoue.
Ooh, he was nasty in Jacksonville. Yes, he played a little bit everywhere, it feels like, but he is with the Colts. He's going to provide some challenges for this man, Tyler Smith. What type of game can the rookie have against this defensive line? Presents a little bit of a challenge, but he may be up for that challenge when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
Yeah, I love him, and he is a rare and relentless competitor. I would say that's probably one of the first things that you meet, or that you find out about him, being around him for a long time. I would describe him like he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Comes across, real clean cut, nice, and he is a tough-ass competitor.
Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn speaking on his former quarterback, Matt Ryan. The two played together in Atlanta and, of course, went to a Super Bowl together while Dan Quinn was the head coach. As we welcome you back into Special Edition. And, Barry, this provides the best segue for your matchup to watch. Each of us give matchups to watch every single week here on Special Edition. And that one, it's a predecessor to yours.
Oh, without a doubt. I got the mad scientist Dan Quinn versus Matt Ryan, his former QB1 out there. Now, these guys have history, like Kyle mentioned. They both helped each other get to the Super Bowl a few years ago. Dan Quinn knows the strengths and weaknesses of Matt Ryan, so I'm interested to see what he's going to attack him with defensively. This is a matchup that you must keep your eyes on.
Well, the matchup that I'm looking for right here is going to be Mr. Yannick Ngakoue. Okay, Yannick Ngakoue versus Tyler Smith, the young gun versus the veteran who's out there, long, lanky, fast, has a lot of ways to get to the quarterback. 8.5 sacks. Let's make sure that we keep it there during this game.
Mine is versus our defensive line and their offensive line. I tell you what, man, they got Quentin Nelson. This guy's a beast. They got Ryan Kelly, he's the center. He's a beast. And Will Fries, he's the second guy. He's their Robin. But I'm telling you, if these guys can get going in the run game in the middle, they can control us. So we got to put them in a pass rush situation where the tackles are not very good. But those three guys in the middle, if they get going, they can dominate this game.
So is there more pressure, in your opinion, on the outside guys, the edge rushers, or the interior guys to try and slow down a guy like Jonathan Taylor in that run game?
Inside. He likes coming downhill. He likes making things happen. And I'm telling you, Quentin Nelson, he's a Kodiak, bro. He likes to maul you. I'm telling you.
It's been an offensive line that has struggled to stop the pass rush,
right,
which, of course, Dallas is exceptionally good at with 45 sacks this season. But they have been good at run blocking, so keep that in mind because they can maybe make this Dallas defense pay. It's an interesting matchup when you really look at it on paper. So, of course, that's a good matchup to watch from Nate Newton there. When we come back on Special Edition, though, we give our keys to the game. How can the Cowboys keep pace in the NFC East and get their 9th win of the season when we come back?
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys and the Indianapolis Colts preparing for battle on Sunday Night Football. It's the first time they've met in 4 years. The last time these two met, the Colts won 23-0. It was not a pretty game for the Dallas Cowboys. They'll look to try and find a little bit of revenge in this one. With Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Nate, what's your key to the game to make sure that that does not happen again?
Just play smart. You're better than this team. Make sure your penalties are cut down to a minimum and control time of possession, and you should be okay.
Interior defensive line shut down Jonathan Taylor. If you shut him down, then you can go back there and eat Matt Ryan all day long.
That's what they got to do, though. They got to shut down Jonathan Taylor, force this team to be one-dimensional out there. Matt Ryan does not have the juice anymore. You can force him into throwing a couple interceptions, but you got to stop the run.
The big thing about it, too, Matt Ryan, you talk about the interceptions that he'll throw. He takes care of the football through the air for the most part, but he has, as an offense, that Colts offense has fumbled the football 28 times. They've put it on the ground 28 times this season. So if Dallas can maybe force the fumble, put the ball on the ground, they could have a ton of success. Nate, what's your prediction? Can the Cowboys get their 9th win?
You know what? This is going to be a blowout, man. And they taking this thing to the next level. I got them amazing 3, man.
Putting them up by 3?
Yes.
Cowboys by 3. Yeah. Nate Newton, who, of course, always does just 1. Cowboys by 1. Not the case this week. It's a Cowboys by 3, so that means this should be a Cowboys win. Coming up on Sunday Night Football, 7:20 kickoff from AT&T Stadium. We'll be back next week to break it down, win or lose, for the Dallas Cowboys. For Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, and our entire crew, I'm Kyle Yeomans. So long. We'll see you next week with more Special Edition from the Star in Frisco.